Hey, welcome to joining us as we explore the updated Salesforce Architecture Center. We are thrilled to have you. Thanks for coming. There's a lot going on right now, and just to have folks come and listen to us is a big deal. So here we are. We'll introduce ourselves really quickly. My name is Tim Breeden. I'm a software engineering architect at Salesforce. I work for the well-architected team within the Office of the Chief Architect, so OCA. And what our team is responsible for within the larger architecture program at Salesforce is core content and the Architecture Center itself, along with massive help and guidance by people like Ella, who I will let introduce herself.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. My name is Ella Marks. I'm on our architect marketing team, and my job is to amplify and share all of the amazing content that Tim's team is creating with the Office of the Chief Architect, as well as our architect evangelism team. And so Tim mentioned the Architecture Center, so that's architect.salesforce.com. That's really what we're going to be talking about today. But if you don't already follow us on our social channels, as well as our blog, we have tons of amazing content out there, really trying to spread the word about the amazing work that Tim and his team are doing.
Awesome. So, everybody can probably speak to this slide at this point, but long story short, only make purchasing decisions based on GA products. So here's what we'll be covering. We had just a quick session together. Ella's going to mention how we're using feedback and how important it is to us with the decisions that we're making. And she'll share with you some updates that are already in place on the Architecture Center. And then I'll walk you through what's up next and a glimpse into the roadmap. And finally, we'll give you a way to share your feedback. That is a central theme for all of us in the architecture program at TDX this year. We want to and we need to hear more and more. All right, Ella?
Awesome. Well, Tim, I'm actually going to contradict you there. It's not just about TDX, right? The feedback. We've been collecting feedback since the program relaunched at Dreamforce, and it is incredibly important to us that we're actually hearing what you think about the resources in our content. And so this applies to all of the program, but we've heard a lot of feedback specifically about the Architecture Center. And so as Tim said, I'm going to walk you through a couple things we heard and some of the changes that we've made to really address them. So first, we know that you want easier navigation, and you want it to be easier to discover the resources that you need. And so what I'll show you in a couple slides is our new homepage, which is created to do just that. Another thing that we heard that was really consistent in the feedback is you want actionable guidance to help you make decisions with confidence. So I'll talk a little bit about the updated decision guide format that Tim actually led the creation of, and share that with you so you can check it out after the session. And the next thing is you really wanted consistent, improved user experiences. So we took a look at how content is structured on the site and made sure that that experience was consistent across our resource types, although there's definitely some more work that we're going to be doing this year there. And then finally, raise your hand if you traveled for TDX or if you work in another language. Maybe English is not the only language that you're working in today. Okay, so we have a couple of folks. We know that the architect community is global. So we've actually taken a step to make it easier for everyone to consume the content that we've created by creating globally accessible resources to support the global community. So we can go to the next slide. Thanks, Tim. And the first thing is that redesigned homepage experience. So you can check out the QR code here to explore. Check it out at architect.salesforce.com. Quickly, just a few big things that we've changed. We've added some clear sections to delineate what's new and also guide you through some key topics like building your architectural foundation, architecting the agentic enterprise, as well as building secure multi-cloud solutions. So make sure you check that out. We love the new updates. We're really excited about them. But again, we want to hear your feedback. So at the end, we'll share a QR code so you can share that with us. The next thing, and again, I'm going to breeze through these pretty fast. We could probably have done a full session on each one of these. So yeah, we definitely could have, so bear with me. But the next is our updated decision guide format. And like I said, this is something that Tim and his team really worked on. We wanted to have a consistent approach to these resources. And so making sure that we define what a decision guide is and make sure that it looks consistent across our decision guides. And so we launched this with new decision guides, and we also have the updated record-triggered automation decision guide. I know that was something that folks were really interested in. So make sure to check out all the decision guides using the link here. Next is our resource UX. As I mentioned, this is just a new, consistent way to view resources like our fundamentals, diagrams, framework, and decision guides across the site. So you can check it out on the link here. And then finally, before Tim talks a little bit more about the future, our translated content. So there's actually a language picker at the bottom left of the Architecture Center, and you can go through and you can change the language of the resource that you're viewing. And again, we know the community is global. We know that there are architects around the world that are looking to use these resources. So we wanted to make sure that we did our best to make resources as globally accessible as possible. And again, if you have feedback on this, we can't wait to show you the QR code in just a bit. So that's what we've been working on so far. Tim, tell us a little bit about the future.
Absolutely, and I touched on this, so some folks may recognize it from a session we had at 10 o'clock about the next chapter of the well-architected framework. But what we're doing this year is beginning a journey with what is a real revamp. We took a while to figure out what word we wanted to use, but a revamp of today's Architecture Center. And we've got to start on that with all this good stuff that Ella just shared with you. And we want to take it to the next level. You see this beautiful new homepage with maybe a slightly tweaked menu from what you've seen in any current snapshot. The Agentic Enterprise, top left of the landing page, of the home page. And I went through this and just to, at the previous session, but just to touch on it real quickly, putting it there so prominently, the long-term vision of the Architecture Center, because the Agentic Enterprise, you've probably heard it 1,000 times in the past couple of days, but that is Salesforce's vision for the AI-powered organization. People, data, applications, autonomous agents working together. So very important for us to put that front and center in our architectural guidance on the Architecture Center, because the stakes have gone up for the architect. These are autonomous agents acting on behalf of the business. So while it's cool and it's innovative, responsibilities and stakes have gone up. The redefined, well-architected framework, what we spoke about a little while ago today, that will be in, we're moving it from a sort of topics-based model that's in today, trusted, easy, adaptable, to a broader pillar-based model. And if you weren't able to attend earlier, the recording will be available at some point soon, I'm sure. So please do check that out. That was a great session. We got a ton of good feedback. Revised content groups. Right now, we can have a little bit of content spray on the same subject across some of the guidance in the well-architected framework. We want to make it easier to find with maybe fewer clicks and more intuitive as to where the content is found. The new framework content, that's just new guidance across this broader set of pillars. More standardized documentation formats to come. This is not consistency for consistency's sake, as Ralph Waldo Emerson warned us all against. This is so that when a user, when the architect, or whoever is benefiting from the site sees a document, they know it's a Salesforce document. So at the macro level, we want the site easy to traverse and make sense, and then we want any document that somebody's looking at to be easy to traverse and make sense with a nice TLDR maybe at the top, depending on the document type, and use cases here in the non-functional considerations or what have you, but efficient, succinct. And we'll be looking into even things like doc size and reading time. We want to present all the critical information, but not necessarily let it go on and on and on, as some docs can do. And the remodified site navigation. So you caught a glimpse, and it was cool with that resource UX that Ella showed. We've talked about, okay, because it sounds like such a simple thing, but what should these menus look like? How do you always know where you are on the site? We've referred to it before as like it's a persistent compass or something to that effect, to which our boss said that sounded like a security incident. So we can't use that term. So the updated well-architect framework, industry familiar pillars. There'll be great, much better graphic one of these days for that. Increased breadth with the pillars that we've added. resource and cost optimization guidance. Those were asked. We're talking about the feedback that we've gotten. Broader coverage across 6 pillars than we have today with our 3 topics and the subtopics associated with them. We've added fairness and non-bias to the pillars. We're excited about that, the way that it aligns with equality at Salesforce. It's one of the company's core values. And do not be afraid, those of you who are gaining value and using the Architecture Center today and using the well-architected framework as it is today, it's not a scorched earth. It's a new model. So the good material content that's in the well-architected framework today, it will be retained, and you may find it reorganized in different areas across the pillars of trust, reliability, operational excellence, resource optimization, cost optimization, and fairness. So, again, be not afraid. The agentic enterprise, just dug into why that's going to be such a big deal, right? It's the primary cross-pillar architectural lens, not just another cross-pillar architectural lens. And so within an agentic enterprise section, there will be pillar-by-pillar instruction, guidance, call it what you will. Here, just a nice little mock-up of operational excellence for the agent development lifecycle. I think that comes from a particular document on the site right now. But speaking of reclassification or relocation of content, that's the type of thing you might imagine happening. And so, of course, that orchestration layer, taking advantage of this deeply unified Salesforce platform. We want to make sure that it's not there to glorify this, but it's important enough that we need to offer guidance to the architect. We want them to go faster, better, with a great idea of where they're going and helping them get there with the site. And starting around Dreamforce, we call this the agentic experience on the site, but really it means we're going to have an agent on the site. We don't know the name yet. We'll figure one out. It'll be cool. We're just not, people like Ella wouldn't probably let us commit to such a thing just yet. But it'll start with that typical, I asked the agent a question, I got back some references, some citable references, the simplest piece. This is roughly chronological as you vertically kind of go bullet by bullet. But essentially decision support will be added, reviews, problem solving support, troubleshooting support, and all the while it's just sharpening that agent like a pencil to make sure that the more particular context it gets, the more personalized context it gets about the architect's current solution, design, and the various nuanced even aspects of each, it's providing guidance very tailored to the need at hand. And we've got a couple of folks here who, I won't point at them, but if you have questions about this agent and what the plans are for it on the site, then I will point at them for sure. That's a quickie, right? So great work going on, and that has gone on. A lot to come, a lot of work to do, and a lot of excitement on our part in creating it and helping the architect and other users that use the site out. How should they share their feedback?
Well, you can start by using this QR code and use the form here. It is very open-ended. We made sure on purpose that we are collecting all types of feedback. So anything you see on the site, let us know what you think, as well as the future elements that we talked a little bit about today. And then I think we can say thank you, and then after we will be around to answer some questions. But thank you so much for joining us and helping us walk through this new experience for the Architecture Center. So thank you all so much.
And if you stick around,
and we'll stick around. Yeah, we'll stick around and answer questions.
Else. Thank you.
So thank you all.